Hello, and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we are going to talk about one of the city's annual events focused on young people and working with young people. It's the Urgency of Now, sometimes called Are You On? My guests are Synethia White and Michael Nims. Welcome.
Good morning.
And I'm going to turn to you first, Synethia, and then we'll bring Michael in later. But talk about why this event was started, what the goals are.
So the event started 4 years ago in a partnership that was initiated by former council members and former mayor to have a conversation at a regional level around violence prevention and engagement of young Black men in our communities. At that time, the outlier was there are a ton of young Black men who have a lot of potential, but there is a good amount of them who need some additional support to attain that success. So we partnered with Cities United and worked together to have this regional convening to discuss, ways to work together to do this at a regional level, and then also to have these discussions for each locality to see what they can do and also to learn from one another.
So this has, most years at least, been a mix of professionals and volunteers and nonprofits who work with young people and programs for young people and their families and, volunteers who might want to work. So it's really kind of three target audiences. Is that right?
Right. I don't think there's anyone in this particular effort that we cannot engage in some capacity. Every major movement, from the civil rights movement to the suffrage movement, has had folks who were there who were not necessarily directly impacted, but they wanted to be a part and make a change. And so as you shared, we do ask cities who participate and others who just come on their own to come, because we need a diverse group of folks who represent the nonprofit sector, local government, young people, caring adults, neighbors, citizens, business owners, et cetera, because it's something that unfortunately impacts everybody, but fortunately everyone can commit and make a commitment to change.
All right. So, Michael, what is your involvement this year?
This year, I've been able to format the entire event. So I came to Synethia and I gave her the idea that maybe we should bridge the gap between the boomers and Generation Z. We have a lot of millennials here, which I am, and we've achieved success through unorthodox and maybe unconventional methods. And times are ever changing. I think that needs to be highlighted.
I think, I've gone to this, and there are, because the people who get energized and the people who can be elected to council and the people who are in senior levels of leadership working in programs do tend to be, somewhere between your age and my age. And talking to young people, they don't necessarily see us as reaching them terribly well. Certainly you're closer, but there were a lot of people who passionately care, but it's hard for someone who's, 15, 16, 17 to look at an older person and go, I'm not going to get there. That's not my frame of reference or whatever. So bringing in millennials to talk to them,
yes, ma'am.
Talk with them. Let me put it that way too.
Yes, ma'am. I believe, that's what makes us special. We have the core values of the generation before, but we have the ideology of the children coming up now. So it's not necessarily that the message is bad, but the messenger is more relative to what the children are experiencing now. Yeah,
and it's also hard to tell a young person, when you're 50, you'll have this stuff and you'll be in this place in life. Boy, is that a long time away. So when you're in your 20s, early 30s, and you've reached some measure of success or gotten comfortable with your life and involved, that is, it's a little quicker. You're not having to reach so far out.
Yes, ma'am.
So who are some of the millennials that you're going to have come talk?
I think the most renowned would be Tyrod Taylor. We've grown up together. I just made a phone call, asked him to be here, because this year was very special. And he's been someone, who's been a light within our community, but also someone who's proven to be, successful, through hard work and dedication. And that should be highlighted even more. But alongside him, a friend of mine named Donovan Cotton. He was a walk-on athlete at Norfolk State, played football, but he always knew he didn't actually want to play on the next level. He wanted to be in the front office, and he did internships. He waited his time. Then he joined the Seattle Seahawks as a scout, won the Super Bowl the first year with him being on staff.
Wow.
And now he's been able to transition to other teams, and he'll be flying back home. Cornell and Sabrina Holder, they'll be speaking on a media panel, and they've created their own, started their own creative agency, and they work directly hand in hand with a lot of larger music labels and other corporations, like corporate corporations.
So that also speaks to probably new careers or careers that are especially of interest to younger folks. Whenever I, have talked to them, media, music, certainly in the 757, we have a tremendous number of athletes, and they don't always make it on that next level, but there are other jobs in athletics that they could be working toward.
I've highlighted certain individuals, and they'll be here to explain, how they got there, their hardships, what they had to do to succeed to get to where they are now.
So, Synethia, how does all this tie into, and it's hard to talk about, it's violence prevention, but it's really youth success. It's success for young people.
And so this year our tagline is encourage, embrace, engage. We are asking young people to not worry about how they will get there, just to stay focused on getting there, and we're asking adults in the room to encourage them. Oftentimes we hear dreams that young people have, and they are very scary. They're very scary for the young people to say them, and so we want the adults to focus on the positive and those other opportunities. We want them to embrace their dreams, and for the adults in the room to embrace young people who come from a diverse background or diverse set of experiences as well. And then we want to engage with them. And so it's very intentional over the course of those 2 days that the adults who are in the room, who are the presenters and the panelists, they have opportunities during breakout sessions to engage directly with young people, but then also them engaging with the adults in the room to say, you see where I am now. This was my story, and at these points in my life, someone was very helpful for me so that I could reach my goals. So we're actually kicking off National Youth Violence Prevention Week in Hampton on Monday, March 30th with urgency.
Okay, so let's just slow down for just a second. So you've just said two things. That the urgency is your kind of key pivotal annual event, but it is now a part of Youth Violence Prevention Week, and you have other stuff you're going to talk about too, right?
Right.
Okay.
So Monday, March 30th is the kickoff for urgency. And the kickoff for National Youth Violence Prevention Week in Hampton. And that evening we'll be at the Hampton Roads Convention Center from 6 to 7. The young people who Mr. Nims has gotten to come into the area, they've developed a panel, and they're going to talk about how health, wellness, music, media, and sports have impacted them, but also how it impacts a generation positively and negatively. But more so, we're going to focus on the positive. And then after that, we'll have our annual resource fair, which will be held from 7 to 8:30. This year in the resource fair, there's going to be a Millennial Connection Corner where tons of young people from the area who are entrepreneurs or doing different things will be there and just making themselves available to young people who have come that night who want to have conversation with them and learn more about how they do what they do. We have a ton of young business owners in this community, and we're really excited about that.
That's great. So just backing up, you said the first part will be the millennial message and the talk. That is open to the public. Do people need to register? It's free.
It's free and it's open to the public.
Okay.
We do have an Eventbrite link up for that. Registration helps us with planning, but is not necessary or required. If someone wants to be a vendor, the link to be a vendor should be on our webpage, on our Hampton website. And folks who are interested in being vendors, it's not a place to sell things. So just
That's
make
what
it very clear.
Just
It's not a
what a vendor
marketplace.
is. Yeah.
They're more of an exhibitor, and they are going to be either sharing information for young people, for things that families can do, things that young people may do, mental health resources, because in a recent series of conversation that we've had with young people in the community, mental health has come out as something that they're really concerned about. And so, which is also why we've pulled in and the focus on wellness this year, and to be able to move some of the stigma away from having that conversation. And then you can also be an exhibitor if you have an organization that looks for volunteers. So we have a ton of organizations who do wonderful things in the community, but they do them with a very faithful army of volunteers.
So you could be looking for services, or you could be looking for an organization that fits what you want to be able to do and contribute.
Right.
Okay.
Because we want folks to come out twofold. If you want to get connected, obviously, to do something to engage and sign your young person up, that's wonderful. But we have a lot of folks who themselves or find themselves in a position where they no longer have children in the home, but they have a talent or a gift that they would like to share. And so opportunities for volunteerism we'll have available with organizations there.
Okay, so that's the first night. That's Monday night. Then what? Then what happens?
We're excited this year. On Tuesday is a day full of learning opportunities where we invite localities across the region to send delegations. Something we're excited about this year is we're going to open up some spots for folks to attend who want to come. Typically, this has been completely closed. We've still had a very wide audience and invited.
But it's been invitation
community.
only.
It's been invitation
and it's
only.
been kind of professionals who work, whether it's social services or a government agency, or whether it's some nonprofits, some schools, health. I mean, it's been, kind of this community of invited people, but now you're going to be able to have some spots for
folks who hear about it and want to come. We're still going to send our invitations out to those you mentioned, and also those who represent community-based organizations who we've partnered with and invited in the past. But we have worked pretty diligently with the mayor's office and have found a way to open up some spots. And so when that becomes open, we will share it on our Facebook page, and it'll be just a normal Eventbrite link. There still will not be a cost for those folks to attend either.
That's wonderful. And this will all be at the convention center again
Yes,
this year, the Hampton
everything's-
Convention Center? Okay. And then just briefly, and we have a little bit of time to talk about Youth Violence Prevention Week and what kinds of things, maybe not every event, but just sort of highlight some of the things you'll be doing that week.
We'll have some community conversations, one for young people, facilitated by young people, and at the same time, a panel comprised of returning citizens who are talking about how the choices they're making now are impacting their community and changing the future.
You might
for
better
many
tell
young
us
people.
what a returning citizen is. I'm not sure everybody's real familiar with that terminology.
Returning citizen is someone who has been incarcerated. And so we have a group of returning citizens that we work with quite a bit. And so giving an opportunity for them to share some of the things that they're doing. They're impacting legislation. They are writing programs that are being facilitated in prisons, and also parenting and family education programs that are being facilitated in the community. And so giving them the opportunity to share that work, because their future is way more important than their past. And then we'll also have family dinner nights with fitness activities and game nights throughout the week. That'll be at some of our local community centers and the local Boys and Girls Clubs.
Okay, so all kinds of opportunities to get engaged, but it really does kick off with this one. And you've pulled together, I think, some names that people are really going to want to hear from and learn from and be inspired by. So I think that evening's going to be, you're going to get a good audience for
Yes,
that.
ma'am. Might I also add that this particular year, we're not enforcing a dress code. Not that we ever have, but
I was going to say, I don't think we ever have.
professional attire isn't required for anyone who may think that. We don't want to create a barrier there. So we want everyone to feel comfortable. We don't want the intimidation factor while we're engaging everyone.
That's something that I didn't understand the first couple years, how that puts people off or makes some of the young people feel like I'm not accessible, or that I have certain ideas or whatever. That came as a surprise to me, and it's really nice that you've focused on it and said it out loud, because I think it does make us, a little bit more conscious of it, I guess.
Yes,
so is there anything else either of you wants to add before we close?
Nope, just, I guess one thing. I said nope and then one thing. But so to stay updated on what we're doing and to get previews of the folks that Mr. Nims has coming in and sharing with us, if they would follow our Facebook page at Urgency of Now Symposium, that would be super helpful. We'll continue to release information weekly as it leads up to the event, and that's also where you'll be able to find the Eventbrite link to register to attend the event.
Great. And I'm going to assume most of this is also on your webpage, hampton.gov/youth opportunities?
Yes, it should be.
Okay, great. And thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you there. This is a great opportunity because it really targets everyone who could be involved in this issue. Potential or current volunteers, organizations that are already working on the ground, or agencies, and kids who may be struggling, may be doing fine, but a word of encouragement or a path forward can certainly make a difference in a young person's life. Thanks for watching.